Welcome back. So this is part 2 of creating a file system. So here we are. We've created the SDB. The next step is to partition it. Now there are many tools, partitioning tools out there. On the final exam, you can use the one of your choice. But the one that I'm going to be using is called fdisk. So that is the classic partitioning tool in Linux. And the file that represents that hard drive, these are device files, not device drivers, device files, is SDB. Do not touch SDA again because that's where Linux is installed. We want to partition SDB, and that is located inside the dev directory. So again, this is what and where. What are we going to partition? SDB. Where is it currently sitting, that file? It's currently sitting inside the dev folder. Now, the way I have it, I'm going to get an error message. Unable to open. To use these tools like fdisk or make a file system or any of these dangerous utilities, you need to be a super user. So let's switch user, SU, enter the super user password. Okay, and let's try it again. So fdisk of our SDB device file. All right, so we're there now. Now you might not know how to use this tool, but that's okay. If you look down here, you can enter M for help. So we type M. We see we have a number of options here. The first thing we really want to do is we want to see if there are any existing partitions. P for print the partition table. There are no partitions currently on SDB. So how do you create a new partition? Well, the letter you have to type is N, add a new partition. And we want to keep our life simple. In the second course on operating systems, newer operating systems, we'll look at partitions and logical drives in detail. But right now we're going to keep our life simple. We're going to make this a primary partition by entering P. So we're entering P 2 times here. It wants a partition number. Okay, so these device files are numbered SDB1, SDB2, 3, and 4. That's what you're choosing right now. To make my life interesting, I'm going to choose the number 3. So the file this creates, it's on hard drive SDB, and I'm selecting partition number 3. So the file it should be creating is SDB3. Let's now it's asking me where on the hard drive do you want to begin. It's using this very old-fashioned language about cylinders. We don't think in terms of cylinders. We think in terms of size. How many bytes do we want it to be? But let's go ahead and play along. We'll start at the first cylinder, cylinder 1, by just pressing enter. Okay, it's just going to accept the default. If I press enter a second time, it's going to use the whole hard drive, meaning the hard drive is going to be one large partition. Let's go ahead and do that. Now, later on, we're going to see here how to choose the size of that partition, but I just want to make this very easy. Accept the default, enter, enter 2 times, and that will create your partition. Now, to verify the partition we just created, do P for print. Print the partition table. There it is, SDB, because it's on hard drive SDB, and we chose partition number 3, so the file is SDB3. So let's go ahead and save our changes with W. Okay, so that has now been saved. We've exited out. If we type ls, we can see SDA and SDA 1 and 2, just like we had before. But now we have an SDB for the second hard drive, and that is the partition we just created. So don't get confused. If you just see letters there, SDA, SDB, SDC, those are hard drives. That's the first hard drive. That's the second hard drive. If we had a third hard drive, it would be SDC. and the device file is the partition is SDA1, 2, and so on. These are where, that's where the file system is going to reside. So we've got that now, and now we need to create a file system. Now remember, a file system is just a way of organizing the files and directories. We don't throw everything in our closet because we'll never find it. We have to organize it. Our shirts here, our shoes there. Same thing with a hard drive with our files and directories. The command to organize our hard drive or create a file system is make file system. And where do we want that file system? We want it inside SDB3, the partition. Don't do this. That's the hard drive. Partitions have partition numbers, so it has to be SDB3. Now, what file system do we want to create here? What type? We specify T for type, and we have a number of options here. Extended 2, extended 3, and extended 4. Very briefly, extended 2 is one of the oldest file systems, and it is prone to disk corruption because it doesn't support journaling. Extended 3 and extended 4 support disk journaling. That way, if you lose power or something goes wrong on your computer, it will prevent disk corruption. So we're going to go ahead and press enter. It formats very quickly, and that is the second part of creating a file system. So in this video, we used fdisk. We created a partition. That partition was represented with a partition file, SDB3, and then we formatted it with the make file system command. See you in part 3 of adding a new file system.